I just want to say something to all of the influential people who, in the last several weeks, due to this Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the political climate on college campuses, the past few weeks have been freaking out about what's going on in higher education, particularly in elite Western universities. They've been freaking out. Billionaire Bill Ackman been throwing all kinds of tantrums and making threats and so forth. A bunch of these billionaires have been pulling their money from these schools because of what they say is a kind of an anti-Semitism on campus. Well, I don't want to address that particular claim, but I just want to say to these people, to all of these people who are suddenly loudly wringing their hands and making demands and freaking out over the political climate on college campuses, I just want to say, where the fuck have you been? Where the fuck have you been? Because I have been in higher education in various capacities, starting with a student, for what, almost 2 decades? And it's been a shit show the entire time, an obvious shit show. And I don't even have to recount for you all of the different critiques that one could make against the state of modern college campuses, particularly elite universities, particularly the Ivy Leagues. And we're talking about the kinds of political orthodoxies and political repressions occurring on these campuses in various ways, and just a lot of the BS that they are feeding to our students in some classes and in a number of ways. Not all classes, not all teachers, certainly. There's still a lot that can be learned in a university. But there is a lot of BS that's been going on. And here's the thing that I don't get, and this is what makes me so angry at people like Bill Ackman and a bunch of you others out there who've been throwing fits the last few weeks. Maybe justifiably, maybe not, but you've been throwing fits the last 3 weeks. I just don't understand where all of you masters of the universe have been for years and years and years, when it's been obvious that someone needed to step up and show some leadership and call these universities and their administrators and their leaders to account. Where have you been? But you've just been happily funneling money to these institutions because it pumps up your ego. Oh, I contributed this much to this building over here. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? Or this program, this endowed chair has my name on it. Or whatever. You have been feeding the beast for years and years and years. And then even beyond the contributors, just people in general, so many people have been sending their kids to these institutions even when they don't agree with what their kids are being indoctrinated with in this environment, and the repressiveness of the environment, the ridiculousness at times of what they're getting at these places. Again, not all of it. There's still a lot of great stuff to be learned in classes, but I'm just saying the modern university, it needs to be reformed. And look, administrative bloat is out of control. Okay, the number of tenure track positions for professors gradually going down, and basically the modern university is now mostly made up of part-time, low-paid adjunct labor. And I've done that work. I've never made a video complaining about it, but I'm just saying, meanwhile, you have all of these different administrators, and now their entire offices, entire groups that are devoted to things like diversity and equity and inclusion, which is just are BS initiatives, and they're paid like hundreds of thousands of dollars. You look at a graph and you see that the conditions, the salaries, the number of positions for professors going down over years, and then administrative bloat just going right up. And most of it is just uselessness. Most of it is just completely, entirely superfluous to actually learning shit. And so yes, it's entirely true that if one is self-motivated, one can learn a lot more just looking at YouTube videos and reading and Googling stuff than in a classroom. And that's not to say that there aren't still great teachers and that you still can't get a lot of it, but it's just not worth it anymore. It's just not worth it anymore. And so those of you who have been funneling money to these beasts, and you have been fully aware, I believe, of what's going on there, your egos got in the way and you didn't want to stop writing the checks. And I just really think that's what it is, honestly. I don't think that you guys can be as smart, you guys and gals can be as smart as you claim to be, and as I would think you would be if you're, billionaire hedge funders and whatever, and tech CEOs and stuff. I don't think you can be that smart and not be on some level aware of what's going on college campuses. But if you aren't aware, then let this be a gigantic wake-up call. And let me just tell you that this conflict over Israel and Palestine, as relates to college campuses, that is by far, it is not the only or even the most significant issue, I think, in terms of the issues with modern universities. So where the fuck have you been? And if you want to blame someone, Bill Ackman, or a bunch of you other billionaires or what have you, you contributors, or frankly, even you parents who know better and have been sending your kids to some of these ridiculous institutions. They're not all ridiculous, but you know who I'm talking about. If you want to look for someone to blame for the modern state of the university, then look in the mirror, because you've been the ones feeding the beast. You have. So, anyway, where have you been? Where the fuck have you been?